Hi, I'm Monty Hernandez, one of the co-founders of ONWARD, our network for the well-being and advancement of relocated dreamers, formerly known as departed dreamers. This is the second of our video series called Dreamers Abroad, which will focus on the lives of dreamers that have self-deported and how their lives have changed since moving to a new country. This, however, is not legal advice, nor encouragement for any of the decision-making process. This is just a series about dreamers and their experiences. Today, we have co-founder Jason to talk about his experiences moving to Spain. So Jason, could you introduce yourself?
Sure. So my legal name is Eun Suk Hong, but I go by Jason because when I moved to the United States back in December 2001, I was 10 years old at the time. Nobody was able to pronounce my name correctly. So I actually picked the name Jason, and it's just been stick with me until now. And I guess now I prefer to be called Jason more than my real name. Anyway, so yeah, I moved to the United States back in December 2001. I lived in tri-state area in both Delaware, New Jersey, New York. And after graduating undergrad, that's when I first got my first DACA, by the way. I got a job as a financial service representative down in New York Life. And that's when the Trump administration was trying to dismantle DACA status. And knowing that there was such uncertainty in my future about my home, and when everybody was too busy, I guess, too busy fighting and using us as a leverage to meet their own objectives, I felt like this is not a game where I can particularly win. I felt like I had no control over my life. So that's when I decided to leave Spain, or decide to leave the United States to Spain. The reason why I went there is because I've always wanted to pursue a higher education, particularly with MBA. And Spain had a fantastic school called IE Business School. And I was fortunate enough to get admitted for both MBA program as well as the Master in Big Data. So I graduated back in March 2021. And instead of going elsewhere, I decided to stay in and decided to launch 2 startups.
Amazing. And what was the legal process of moving to Spain?
The legal process for me, so I was quite strict with or determined that the last thing I wanted to have was the regrets, right? So of course, I was doing all the research and do my own due diligence, both with multiple different lawyers regarding my situation if I happen to leave the US. And upon that time, I was recommended to apply for FOIA. It's a Freedom of Information Act that anybody can apply for to retrieve your entire immigration background history. And after reviewing my FOIA, I realized I am subject to 10-year bar if I leave. But regarding any particular legal actions to leave, nothing particular. I just been getting a lot of information is probably the most I've done. And any other thing was obtaining a student visa to move to Spain.
Okay, and what was your initial experience in your new country?
Oh, it was a different world. Let's just put it that way. I definitely heard the term siesta before, but I've never been in an environment where people actually practice siesta like it's a tradition. I am definitely not used to having a lunch at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and having a dinner starting from 8:30 as late as 11 p.m. And this was just mind-blowing for me. The language, I don't speak Spanish, or I didn't speak Spanish. So it was extremely weird. But now I'm getting there, getting by for now. And food was, oof, it was a challenge of its own. So I'm lucky that I can eat anything. So I got accustomed to Spanish cuisines, but it was quite difficult because one, Spain does not have like fantastic bagels, oof, nor like good New York pizza, or like a convenient Asian supermarkets like the one in the States. There's like H Mart and there's so many other things. It doesn't exist here. So all the price of Asian food or goods are extremely expensive. And I'm Korean. I love Korean food. So it feels like I'm getting robbed when I'm eating a soup that I used to eat every single day. That only costs like $5 to $10 max, even if I were to go outside, that I have to pay that 30 euros in Spain. And I'm like, don't want to.
So you've experienced some difficulties in the cuisine. Can you tell me what other difficulties you've experienced since moving?
The biggest one was probably my situation, not being able to go back to the United States. I guess one of the biggest regret that I had was I was not able to attend one of my best friend's wedding at the time. And there has been multiple other events that I had to miss because I couldn't go back. It was one of the most excruciating pain that I was feeling, that I had to only join them pre-wedding virtually just to congratulate them. And at the same time express how sorry I am that I'm literally not be able to re-enter the US. And they understand the situation, but at the same time, it's different. It feels like I'm missing a huge portion of my best friend's significant moment in their lives.
Okay. And in opposite to that, what opportunities have opened up to you since moving to Spain?
I can't really pinpoint out what kind of opportunities that I felt or I've seen, but one of the things that I can say is the idea that a status is not preventing you from doing what you want to do. It widens my view. It really opened up my eyes. It expanded my perspective. And I guess I felt really hungry to get new opportunities that was coming at me. And having that ability to just go after that, it's probably one of the biggest things that I realized.
I mean, you've been a very real success story of the dreamer that departs home and creates an entire empire on their own. So I think that it's wonderful to have you here because I'd also like to ask you what advice you would give to other DACA recipients that are considering self-deportation.
I would say take some time to not make any rash decision, and do your due diligence as much as you can. Know what situation you are, get a legal advice from a lawyer. Of course, reach out to as many dreamers who've done similarly as much as possible, get their story, understand how things has turned out for them, and of course, start preparing. And then for me personally, the last thing, I think I said this before, the last thing I wanted was to have a regrets. And I sacrificed a year of school. So I deferred my master's program 2 intakes so that I can actively participate in not just the advocacy movements for dreamers, but also for my personal developments and with my friends, family, so that once I leave, I don't have to look back. I think the regret is probably one of the most toxic ingredient that makes people live in the past. And for me, that was just not acceptable. If I'm making such a big decision, I want to move forward. So I think, yeah, that being said, the biggest advice I can give was take as much time as you need, do your due diligence. And, if you have to make a checklist of the things that you need to get done before you leave, then make one and get those things out of the way.
Well, thank you so much. Those are all the questions I have for you, but I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with me.
Of course, Mansi, thanks for your interview. Thanks for your time. And I look forward to listening to your interview.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll do that next week. So we'll see y'all then.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mansi.